Take 2. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Vinyl Fetish Doubleheader Edition. We're dealing with the release of Abbey Road, but also another amazing release that came out today, the brand new album, the new album by John Coltrane, Blue World. Here we are, another new John Coltrane album. There it is, out on the Impulse label. The story of this one is a little bit different than Both Directions at Once that came out last year. This was done as a soundtrack for a French film in Canada, a Quebec film named Le Chat dans le Sac, the cat in the bag, not the cat in the hat. And it was sort of hanging out in the archives in Canada, and people knew that it was there. It had been bootlegged, and it wasn't a big secret that it was out, but it was finally, they were doing a retrospective of this filmmaker who made this film, and they decided, hey, nobody's really heard this Coltrane album, let's release it. The only soundtrack that John Coltrane ever did. And so this is it. It came out today. Been very excited. Got it on vinyl at Music Millennium. Let's open it up and see what's in store. And then in a little bit I'll give it a spin. Okay, so here we go. Sliding out. Okay, there we go. So we have a little story about the movie and some cool pictures in black and white and a blue and red mat, and looks like some details about the movie itself. And there's the vinyl on the classic Impulse label. Really excited. You know, it's so cool to get a new John Coltrane album. This has been happening a little bit lately. So I'm going to take this downstairs on the ProTech turntable, give it a spin, and I'll be right back after a few spins to let you know what I think about John Coltrane's Blue World. Alright, we're back. Well, I have to tell you, not quite as revelatory as Both Directions at Once, the album that came out last year, which was sort of these lost tracks that were found on a shelf somewhere. Blue Train, so all these songs that you've heard before, I mean, this is one of the things, there's nothing new on this album. It's got 2 takes of Naima from Giant Steps, 1959, Village Blues, 3 takes of Village Blues, Like Sunny Trainin' In from the album Trainin' In. I saw Blue World on here and I thought, oh, that's a new track. That's at least one new song on this album, but this is actually Out of This World, a song that from 1962. From Coltrane. What makes this record different is it's a classic combo, so it's got McCoy Tyner on piano, Jimmy Garrison on bass, and Elvin Jones on drums. I think because Jimmy Garrison was a friend of the filmmaker and he's the one that got Coltrane in, this guy was a huge John Coltrane fan. He's like, can you get John Coltrane to do the soundtrack to my movie? There's a little bit more bass on this record, a little bit more Jimmy Garrison is featured, which is fine with me. I always love it when Coltrane lays back and lets the bass do its work and then come in. So these are tracks that are sometimes a little bit older and had been recorded in these lineups, so they're like new versions. It's kind of like when Roy Orbison redid some of his classic hits. This is sort of Coltrane redoing some of his classic hits a few times. I mean, there's 4 tracks on here, but there's really only like 4 songs because there's 3 versions of one song and 2 versions of another. They're shorter. You get the feeling that it's more for a soundtrack, so it's not quite as intense as Coltrane was. And this album came out right before, or was recorded right before Love Supreme, right after Crescent, and right before Love Supreme was the most intense period of the Coltrane saxophone exploration before he went into the avant-garde. And you don't really get a sense here. You get a sense that he's sort of playing his role. Kind of like his record with Johnny Hartman or his record with Duke Ellington. You kind of get a notion, well, this is why I'm doing this gig. This isn't about me kind of exploring the astral plane. This is me kind of, you know, making a soundtrack record. So I'm going to hang back a little bit. Still really good. Nice to hear new versions. It's nothing to write home about because you know this music. It's just sort of a little bit of a different take on some of those songs, so they're kind of like really just sort of alternative tracks. I wouldn't even really count it as a Coltrane album. It's sort of a Coltrane peek into a particular recording session from 1964 in Quebec. So very interesting. I dig it. It's nice to spin it on vinyl. It's nice to have a new Coltrane album. I would stick with, you if you want something new, I would stick with Both Directions at Once. This one was really great. If you want a really good soundtrack record to go with sort of the French new wave that was happening in the late 50s and early 1960s, I would try Jazz Track, Miles Davis's 1958 soundtrack, which is one of the best records. It's so good. It totally takes you into that outer space mood of the French cinema of the late 50s and early 60s. So that one, I think, is the one to go with. But Blue World, you know, I'd say 3 out of 4 because it's Coltrane. It just sounds good when he comes in with that tenor. You know it's him, but you also have heard these songs before. So I'm happy to have it. Not blown away, but happy to have a new Coltrane record. All right, that's a spin. We've also got the review of Abbey Road's 50th anniversary coming up, and more good stuff Andy and I are going to be doing up here in the Vinyl Attic. Dig it, like, subscribe, and dig the classic jazz, man. There's nothing better than this era of music right here. Coltrane, I love you.